Today, we'll be taking a look at the 2024 electoral map based on the single newest poll from every single state. We're only going to focus on the competitive races. It's these states that are actually going to matter in terms of picking our next president. And so, with all these solid states filled in already, Kamala Harris takes an early lead with 181 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 125. Now, before we get started, make sure you smash that subscribe button for more content like this leading up to the election on November 5th. And so we're going to start off in the silver state of Nevada, a state that Democrats haven't lost since 2004. Every Democratic nominee since Obama in 2008 has been able to win Nevada. Now, this cycle, Nevada is definitely close. The state is definitely getting more and more competitive, but Kamala Harris does lead by 1% in the most recent poll that is not a tie. Nevada is definitely going to be close, and on our map, it is going to be tilt blue. So we're starting off this map with a very competitive race. Arizona is also going to be very close. I mean, just look at the margin by which it was decided by back in 2020. Joe Biden won Arizona by 0.31%. This was the second closest state of the entire election. Only Georgia was slightly more competitive. Now, looking at polling today, Donald Trump leads by 1% in the most recent Arizona poll. It is going to go down to the wire. Democrats are probably going to win the Senate election with Ruben Gallego defeating Kari Lake, but the presidential race is going to be much closer. It can still definitely go to Harris, but based on the newest poll right now, the state is going to be tilt red. Next up, in Colorado and New Mexico, Kamala Harris is crushing it. In Colorado, she leads by 17 points. This is a solid margin, much larger than Biden's 13.5% margin of victory from back in 2020. So it's not going to be tilt lean or likely blue, but it's actually going to be solid for the vice president. Down in New Mexico, Harris leads by 9 points in the most recent poll, very close to Biden's 10% margin of victory from back in 2020. So we have a likely blue state. New Mexico is easily going to go to the vice president. And then to finish off the western half of the continental US, we simply don't have that many competitive states on this side of the country, or even that many states on this side of the country. But in Texas, it's 40 electoral votes are likely to go to Donald Trump. He leads by 7 points in the most recent poll, right above the threshold for a state to be considered likely. I mean, just this month, we had a poll showing Trump up by 4. He definitely has a weakness here. Democrats can win the Senate election between Ted Cruz and Colin Allred, but on the presidential level, it's very likely that Texas will remain red. Currently, it's likely in favor of the GOP. Moving up to the Midwest now, this is a consequential region for Kamala Harris. She needs to win the entirety of the upper Midwest. She has to win all 4 of these states if she wants to get to 270 electoral votes. And right now, it's definitely close, but she is in the driver's seat. We're going to start off in Minnesota. This is the home state of Governor Tim Walz. Kamala Harris leads by 8%. She is on track to outperform Joe Biden, who won the state by just 7, and Hillary Clinton, who won it by just 1.5 back in 2016. So Minnesota is going to be likely blue. And then down in Iowa, Trump's performance here has been pretty poor. A Seltzer poll that's conducted with the Des Moines Register, which is the gold standard for polling in Iowa, they had Trump leading by just 4%. I mean, this is terrible. A newer poll, though, does have Trump up by 7. So based on the most recent poll, Iowa is going to be likely red on this map. Moving up to Wisconsin, another very important race. Kamala Harris cannot lose Wisconsin, and we have a wall of even polls. I mean, seriously, the last 7 polls here have been a complete tie between Harris and Trump. However, the next poll down that doesn't show an even race is the one conducted by The Telegraph, and they have Kamala Harris leading by a 1% margin. Wisconsin is going to be the second tilt blue state on the map, but a victory here for Harris will go a long way in helping her secure the presidency. Michigan is also going to be close, although Kamala Harris does lead by a shocking 4% margin in the most recent poll. I mean, she is doing great. This is a state that Biden won by just under 3. Kamala Harris might even improve off of Biden's performance back in 2020. So the Wolverine state is going to be lean on this map, the first lean Harris state. We are now going to move on to Ohio, a state that Trump won in both of the last 2 elections. Today's polling shows him ahead by 7. He's leading pretty consistently by this 7-point margin. Basically, all the polls this month and in September have shown him up by anywhere from 6 to 7. It is very likely that Ohio will go red. It's going to be likely Republican on this map. And then to finish off the Midwest, this is a key moment for Vice President Harris. If she doesn't win Pennsylvania, it is going to get extremely difficult for her. But the good news for the Vice President is that she is indeed winning in Pennsylvania. She leads by 2 points in the most recent poll, this one conducted by Morning Consult and Bloomberg, one of the largest pollsters in the country. A 2-point margin is definitely a good spot for Harris, considering that even Joe Biden only won this state by 1.2%. So we have yet another lean blue state in the Midwest. Kamala Harris right now is on track to sweep the blue wall and also hold on to Nevada. We are now going to move up to the Northeast, 2 key races in New Hampshire and Maine. We're going to start off in New Hampshire, where the most recent poll has Harris up by 9. Another example of the vice president outdoing Joe Biden, who only won the Granite State by 7 back in 2020. What's more is that this race was only decided by 0.37 back in 2016, but Democrats are in a much better position today. New Hampshire is likely blue. And then up in Maine, we have the at-large vote and the 2nd district relatively competitive. The at-large vote is currently on track to go to Harris by 7 points, with the 2nd district on track to go to Trump by 9. So we have a split decision here. The state of Maine as a whole is going to be likely blue, but the 2nd district is going to be likely red. We also have polling from the 2nd district of Nebraska, which is the liberal part of the state, even though the rest of the state is completely dark red. Kamala Harris leads by 9% in the most recent New York Times poll from Nebraska's 2nd district, which is going to be likely in favor of the Democratic Party. And so we are left now with just 4 states. For Kamala Harris to win this election, she needs any 4 of the remaining races. She has done enough in the Rust Belt. She's held on to Nevada. Now, losing Nevada would not have been that big of a problem. She can still win the election without Nevada, but if she can win the state, it'll definitely do a lot to improve the confidence in her supporters, because we're not going to know the results for at least a few days. It's probably not going to be as bad as 2020, but vote counting is slow, especially in these upper Midwestern races that are going to be extremely competitive. And so to fill in the 4 remaining states, we're going to start down in Florida. This one is probably the least likely to go Republican. It simply isn't that competitive anymore, but it's not going to be that much of an issue. Democrats are gaining in Texas, where they're going to make up for the electoral loss that they lose from Florida, which of course went to Republicans by solid margins in the 2022 midterms. The presidential race is going to be closer, though. Trump leads by 8%, according to the latest Emerson College poll. So Florida is going to be likely for Donald Trump on our map. In Georgia, this is another state where we have a very close election, but Kamala Harris, she does actually lead in the most recent Marist College poll. This would be a huge deal for Democrats if they could hold on to Georgia, a state they narrowly flipped in 2020. This was actually the closest state of the entire election between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Today, though, Kamala Harris is on track to repeat Biden's success, and so the state is going to be tilt blue on the map. This officially gets the vice president over 270. In North Carolina, though, Donald Trump maintains a 2-point lead. This is a state he's never lost before. He won the Tar Heel state in 2016 and 2020. Polling suggests that he's going to win the state again. So North Carolina is going to be lean red. This is only the second of the 7 battleground states that is currently favoring Trump based on the newest poll. And finally, in Virginia, 13 electoral votes. This could get Harris over 290. Obviously, she is going to win. She leads by 11 points in the most recent poll. Once again, she's doing better than Joe Biden. Joe Biden only won Virginia by 10.1. So the last state on this map, Virginia, is going to be likely in favor of the vice president. And so, with the election 11 days away, Kamala Harris leads with 292 electoral votes. Based on the most recent survey conducted from all the competitive races, Kamala Harris is on track to win the presidency. She's going to win every single state Biden did except for Arizona. In many other races, she's actually doing better. She is outperforming Biden in states like Colorado, Minnesota, and Virginia. So with the election just a few days away, Kamala Harris is going into it in a rather strong position. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you like it down below. Leave a comment. Who do you think is going to win this election? And subscribe to the channel for more content like this.